truck stops and your boots hit the mud. Cold, thick, sucking at your ankles. Somewhere ahead, the ground shakes with a dull rolling thunder that never quite stops. You duck into a dugout, candlelight flickering across sandbags and damp timber. A grizzled sergeant looks up from his tea and his eyes go straight to your shoulder. He doesn't salute. He just says it. Flat and quiet. New officers don't last long here, sir. Not the way they teach you back home. You ask him how long. He doesn't blink. 60 seconds, he says. That's all you get. Once you're up that ladder and into the open. You almost laugh. Back at training, they told you to lead from the front. Whistle in your teeth, revolver drawn, chin high. That's what an officer does. That night, a shell screams overhead and bursts somewhere behind the lines. Then closer, a single sharp crack. Not artillery, something smaller. Something aimed. Dawn brings a runner, splattered in mud, breathless. Orders from the colonel. Your company goes over the top at first light. You get dressed. Polished brass pips on your shoulder. A leather Sam Browne belt across your chest. A wooden swagger cane tucked under your arm. You look every inch the officer they trained you to be. The veteran watches you buckle it on and shakes his head. That shine, he says, points at your chest. Then he nods toward the enemy line, and you feel your stomach drop. He tells you about the last lieutenant. First man up the ladder, cane raised, whistle blowing. He didn't make it past the wire. Shot clean through the head before his boots touched ground. You look down at the revolver in your holster. The whistle cold against your lips. These were supposed to make you a leader. Right now, they just feel like a target painted on your chest. The trench falls quiet. And check rifles, tighten straps, mutter prayers under their breath. You glance at your watch. 4 minutes until 0 hour. Then the whistle blows down the line. That's the rule you were taught. Officers go first. Always first. So you plant your boot on the ladder rung and start to climb. You're up and over. Into open ground. Smoke drifts low and the noise hits you like a wall. Machine guns shouting, the thud of boots in mud behind you. To your left, another lieutenant strides forward. Cane raised high just like they taught him. Then without a sound, he simply drops. One shot. That's all it took. You realize the sniper wasn't aiming at the line of men. He was watching for the shine, the belt, the raised cane, the officer. Your own belt suddenly feels enormous, like a beacon. You swear you can feel a crosshair crawling over your chest, searching, waiting. In your head, you start counting. 1, 2, 3. The veteran's voice echoes back at you. 60 seconds. That's all you get. You throw yourself into a shell crater, chest heaving, mud filling your collar. Bullets snap overhead, close enough to feel the air split. You peek over the rim. Behind you, more officers are going down, one after another. Always the ones out front. Always the ones with the shine. Your hand moves before you even think about it. You rip the cane from under your arm and shove it into the mud. It's not leading anyone. It's just marking a grave. A round punches into the dirt, inches from your skull. You flatten yourself so hard into the mud you can taste it. Praying the next 50 seconds go differently than the last 10. You crawl instead of walk, rifle in hand instead of a revolver at your hip. No one taught you that. The mud is teaching you now. Somewhere behind you, the 60 seconds run out. And somehow, against every number the veteran gave you, you're still breathing. The time you drag yourself back to the trench that evening, half the officers who went over beside you didn't come back at all. The veteran finds you sitting against the trench wall, shaking. He doesn't say, "I told you so." He just hands you a mug of tea and nods at the mud on your knees. From that day on, you stop wearing the belt where it shows. You carry a private's rifle, not a revolver. You walk with the men instead of ahead of them. You still lead, but you've learned the hard way that leading doesn't mean being the easiest man on the field to kill. Weeks later, a fresh-faced lieutenant arrives, boots clean, belt polished, cane under his arm. You feel the veteran's old words rise up in your own throat. You open your mouth to warn him. 60 seconds, you say. That's all you get if you don't learn fast enough. This isn't just a scenario built for fear. It's a documented pattern from the First World War, one that killed thousands of newly commissioned officers within their very first days at the front. British Army records from the Western Front show that second lieutenants suffered casualty rates far higher than the men they led. In some units, nearly tripled the loss rate of enlisted soldiers. On the first day of the Battle of the Somme, in July 1916, entire battalions recorded losing the majority of their officers within the opening minute of leaving the trench, cut down before reaching the wire. German snipers were specifically trained to identify officers by their polished belts, revolvers, canes, and the way they walked ahead of their men. Exactly the habits taught in officer training back home. The phrase soldiers whispered along the line that a new officer had 60 seconds to live wasn't just superstition. It reflected real, recorded casualty spikes in the first moments of countless assaults. By 1917, Army Command finally issued new directives, telling officers to dress plainly, carry rifles instead of revolvers, and stop walking ahead of their men into open fire. The change saved lives. But for thousands of young men who arrived at the front before that lesson was learned, there was no second chance, and no 60-second warning that came in time. So think about that lieutenant stepping onto the ladder for the very first time, polished belt, catching the morning light. Would you have made it past that first 60 seconds?